There are 4.2 million licensed drivers in the United States right now who do not know that a traffic stop this month, May 2025, carries a consequence that was not in place 6 months ago. Not a higher fine, not a longer court date. A consequence that goes directly onto your immigration record. And the change was not announced in a press release. It was added quietly inside a joint enforcement memo between the Department of Transportation and DHS, the Department of Homeland Security. If you hold a green card, an H-1B, an F-1, or any other non-immigrant visa, and you have been stopped by police in the last 90 days, you need to hear what we are about to cover. Because a traffic violation that most people treat as a $50 inconvenience can now trigger something that takes months to undo. Immigration attorneys are billing $400 an hour to advise clients on exactly what we are going to cover right now. And there is one connection between traffic enforcement and visa renewal that almost nobody is talking about in immigrant communities right now. We will get to it before this video ends. I am David, and I spent time going through the official USCIS policy manual and the May 2025 traffic enforcement guidance directly. Everything here comes from uscis.gov and transportation.gov, not community forums, not secondhand summaries. Before we go through this completely, USCIS does not send you a personal letter when a policy change affects your record. They update the manual. They expect you to find it. Subscribe right now and turn on the notification bell, so this reaches you before it affects your status or your next renewal. And join our WhatsApp community linked in the description. One message in the right family group could protect someone's green card. People share everything in these groups, but the one thing that actually matters is missing. Share this video tonight. Now let me show you exactly what we found. Here is what is confirmed under federal immigration law and current USCIS policy. A single minor traffic infraction, a speeding ticket, a rolling stop, an expired registration, does not by itself make a non-citizen inadmissible or deportable. Under INA, Section 237, the grounds for deportability require criminal convictions, not civil traffic violations. That protection is real, and it applies to green card holders, visa holders, and in most situations, undocumented individuals as well. Here is what is circulating in WhatsApp groups and community pages right now that is not accurate. That any contact with police during a traffic stop automatically creates an immigration record that can be used against you at renewal. That is false as stated, but, and this is the part that matters, it is dangerously close to something that is true. The difference between the false version and the accurate version is this. Civil traffic violations do not go on your immigration record. Criminal traffic charges do. And the line between those two categories is something most people do not know how to identify in the moment. We are going to make sure you know exactly which is which. The first thing the official documentation confirms about this is the distinction between civil and criminal traffic violations. Under USCIS Policy Manual Volume 12, Part F, the agency makes a clear separation between infractions that are purely civil, handled with a fine and no criminal record, and those that cross into criminal territory. Speeding 5 miles over the limit is civil. Driving with a suspended license in most states is criminal. Reckless driving is criminal. Driving under the influence is criminal. These are not just more serious tickets. They are misdemeanors or felonies depending on the state, and they create a criminal record that USCIS will see when you apply for renewal, adjustment of status, or naturalization. Say exactly this if you are stopped and the officer asks whether you have a current license. Yes, here it is. Hand it over. Nothing more. Nothing less. Every additional sentence you add is material the officer documents in their report. Never say, I know my registration is expired, but I was going to fix it this week. Under evidence law, voluntary statements made to law enforcement can be used in subsequent administrative proceedings, including immigration hearings. A casual explanation becomes a documented admission. This applies to all non-citizens regardless of visa type. Green card holders, H-1B holders, F-1 students, TPS holders, and undocumented individuals all operate under the same distinction between civil and criminal traffic law. The protections and the risks are the same across those categories. Immigration attorneys charge $300 to $400 per hour to advise on exactly this point during case preparation. The information you are receiving right now is the same, But the second point is where most people in immigrant communities have been given wrong information. The second point involves what happens when you sign a traffic ticket. In most states, signing a traffic citation is not an admission of guilt. It is a promise to appear or to pay. But this is not true everywhere. In certain jurisdictions, signing a citation for specific violations, particularly equipment violations or registration lapses, functions as a civil admission. If that same violation is later upgraded by law enforcement, or if an officer files a supplemental report suggesting an additional charge, that signature creates a documented timeline. The exact words to use if an officer asks you to sign anything you do not understand. I will sign to acknowledge receipt. I am not admitting to the underlying charge. In most jurisdictions, you have the right to add that qualifier before signing. Ask the officer to note it. If they refuse, sign and then contest it immediately through the proper channel, which we will cover in the action plan. Consider someone who was stopped for a broken taillight in a state where the officer had discretion to escalate. The driver, trying to be cooperative, explained that they had been meaning to fix it and mentioned they had been stopped for the same issue the month before. Under the principle that prior similar conduct can establish a pattern, that officer's report now referenced two separate incidents. When the driver applied for green card renewal 6 months later, the USCIS officer reviewing the file flagged the two-incident pattern as a conduct concern, not a ground for denial, but grounds for a request for evidence that delayed the renewal by 4 months. The correct response at the traffic stop would have been, "I understand. Here is my license and registration." That single difference changed the outcome of the case. Third, and this connects directly to the hidden element I mentioned at the beginning, May is not a random month for this warning. In states with annual vehicle inspection requirements, May is one of the peak months for roadside equipment enforcement. Officers in many jurisdictions receive updated quota guidance at the start of Q2. This means traffic stops in May are statistically more frequent than in February or March. For immigrant communities, this means the probability of a traffic encounter and the probability of an accidental escalation is elevated right now. And fourth, this is the specific detail that most coverage never reaches. If you receive a citation and you are not certain whether it is civil or criminal, do not pay it immediately. Paying a citation in some jurisdictions is treated as a plea of no contest, which, in the context of immigration law, functions similarly to a conviction, per USCIS Policy Manual. Chapter 5, a conviction for immigration purposes includes any case where a judge or court accepts a plea, including a no contest plea, regardless of whether the person received jail time. Pay the wrong ticket in the wrong state and you have created an immigration record where none needed to exist. Now here is the connection that almost no coverage reaches. And this is what I mentioned at the beginning. A traffic citation does not just affect your driving record. In certain situations, it connects directly to your Social Security record because of how state motor vehicle databases share information with federal agencies. Here is the mechanism in plain terms. If a traffic stop results in a criminal charge and that charge involves any form of identity document fraud, a fake license, a borrowed ID, a name discrepancy, it creates a flag in DHS systems that can also trigger a review of your Social Security number on file. If your SSN was used to establish work authorization in a previous status and there is now a flag connected to an identity document issue, SSA can flag that record for review. In real terms, for someone in your situation, a traffic stop that escalates to a document charge can delay a Social Security application by 6 to 18 months while records are reconciled between DHS and SSA. Most people never find out about this connection until a benefit payment is withheld or an application is denied, often years after the original traffic stop. Here is your exact plan. Write this down or save this video. Step 1. If you received any traffic citation in the last 90 days, look at the citation itself and determine whether the charge code listed is a civil infraction or a misdemeanor. Your state's DMV website lists the codes. If you see the words misdemeanor, criminal, or court appearance required, do not pay it. Contact an attorney first. Step 2. Go to ucis.gov and search good moral character to review the full list of conduct that USCIS considers when evaluating renewals and applications. Compare any recent traffic history against that list. Step 3. If you are stopped in the future and an officer asks you questions beyond license and registration, say exactly this: I am choosing to remain silent. Am I free to go? Do not add anything else. Step 4. Never explain your immigration status voluntarily during a traffic stop. You are not required to disclose it. Under the Fifth Amendment, you have the right to remain silent in any encounter that could incriminate you. Step 5. Share this video with one person in your family or community who drives. Send it directly to their phone right now. They may not find this on their own. Official resources: USCIS, uscis.gov, 1-800-375-5283, SSA, ssa.gov, 1-800-772-1213. Immigration Legal Aid, immigrationadvocates.org. Know Your Rights, ACLU.org, Know Your Rights. Free Immigration Help, NILC.org. 2 warnings before we finish. First, immigration scams. There are people charging money to review traffic citations for immigration impact. This is not a licensed legal service. Only work with attorneys licensed by a state bar or BIA accredited representatives. Never pay anyone who guarantees a result or who asks for cash payment upfront. Second, benefits scams. If you receive a phone call claiming that your Social Security number has been suspended due to a traffic or criminal matter, hang up immediately. SSA does not suspend Social Security numbers by phone. They do not call to warn you of a suspension. Real SSA communication comes by mail only. Call 1-800-772-1213 directly to verify anything you receive. I want to hear from you directly. Which country are you originally from? And have you or someone you know experienced a traffic stop that created complications with immigration or benefits? Drop it in the comments below. I read every single one, and your questions shape the next video. What we covered today is documented, confirmed, and already affecting people across this country. USCIS will not send you a personal explanation when enforcement patterns change. This channel will. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and join the WhatsApp community in the description so urgent updates reach you directly. I am David. You have rights in this country. You have benefits you have earned. Knowing both protects everything. Take care of yourself.